What do Sammy Hagar, this chair, and this guy have in common? They're all red rockers. This channel isn't about music or furniture, so you know this episode is about this red rocker and his perpetual opponent Blue Bomber. It's the Rock'em Sock'em Robots edition of Where's the Fun From? Rock'em Sock'em Robots is simply one of the most fantastic pieces of plastic ever designed. It's fitting then that it came from the most prolific purveyor of fantastic plastic the toy design world has ever seen, Marvin Glass and Associates. Marvin Glass was a creative entrepreneur and salesman who partnered with some of the best toy designers in history. Marvin Glass and Associates, or MGA as it was known, had a fortress of a studio on LaSalle Street in Chicago and was dominant throughout the 60s and 70s. Its games rose up off the tabletop in loud, clattering, vibrantly colored plastic. None was bigger, badder, or blared louder than Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Before MGA and its design contemporaries, board games laid flat on a table because they were made mostly of paper and cardboard. That is until the late 1950s. Plastic injection molding evolved from metal die casting. But whereas molten metals could easily flow into a mold, melted plastic had a viscosity too high to be poured. Instead, a process was developed where polymelts were injected into a hollow mold cavity. World War II created a huge demand for inexpensive mass-produced products, and injection molding of plastics answered the call. After the war, the baby boom created demand for plastic products across all industries, none more than toys. During the early days of plastic toy design, inspiration struck the MGA designers from everywhere. Burt Meyer was a designer and partner at Marvin Glass and Associates.
We would go all kinds of different places to find items and ideas, and we went to an arcade, and they had a pair of boxers in there, made out of metal. There was a little button on the chin of each one of the boxers, and if I hit the button on your chin, you'd fall over. Maybe we can make this into a toy, a game for a kid.
Burt and another MGA partner named Harry Disko began designing a game with two human boxers facing off. It featured two mechanical boxers covered with latex, which would flex and move to look like human skin. Despite the design challenge, Burt and Harry were making headway on the game when tragedy struck.
Folks, this is Steve Ellis again at Dodger Stadium for World Championship fight number 2. Little Davy Moore, the man with the big punch.
On March 21st, 1963, boxer Davy Moore faced Sugar Ramos for the featherweight championship of the world. Ramos won the grueling bout after a 10th round TKO. After the fight, Davy Moore began having complications. He was rushed to the hospital and tragically died 3 days later. His death led to calls across the country for boxing to be banned. Bob Dylan even wrote a protest song entitled "Who Killed Davy Moore?" A dark cloud hung over the sport.
Marvin said, we can't make this item, period. We can't make the item. We cannot put a boxing item out there when a tragedy like this has hit the United States. And so we stopped working on it, and I got to thinking, this is too good to pass up. This is a good item. Let's take it away from humanity. Let's put something else in there. And I came back to Marvin and I said, let's make it robots.
Judd Reed, another designer at MGA, worked on the look of the robots. Others tackled how they would function, and on June 14, 1963, the patent for Rock'em Sock'em Robots was filed. The game was eventually licensed to Marx Toys, a dominant toy and game manufacturer at the time, and at the 1964 Toy Fair in New York, the world was introduced to Rock'em Sock'em Robots. The box the game came in was huge, measuring 20 by 15 by 13 inches, unheard of for a game. And then there were the robots. Why don't we let a pro introduce them? Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of the UFR, Bruce Buffer.
It's time! From Civics Arena, it's the Battle of the Century! As the world's only fighting robots go toe-to-toe for the championship of the universe. This fight is brought to you by Seize the Plays YouTube series. Where's the fun from? And now, fighting out of the red corner, hailing from Solteros 2, and weighing in at 375 pounds, it's the rollicking Red Rocker! And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner and weighing in at 382 pounds, known as the Pride of Umbra, it's the beautiful Blue Bomber!
For many kids of the 60s and 70s, Rock'em Sock'em Robots is a game with no equal. Before video games gave us sore thumbs, it was this game. It was loud, action-packed, and culminated with the... That sound can instantly bring us back to the robot bouts of our youth.
They're slugging it out in the middle of the ring! And there's a hard drive to the top! And Blue Bomber's block is knocked off! His block is knocked off?
Sure, but you can press it right back on again. It's just part of the action with the world's only boxing robots, the Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx. Takes 2 managers to handle the fighters and lots of skill to win.
The Blue Bomber's looking for an opening, and there it is! That's the end of round 2!
Just push the flying head back and you're ready for round 3.
Boy, this is the greatest!
The game came with a built-in crowd to cheer on the match in the form of a box insert, plus plenty of scorecards to tally each of the 10 rounds in a fight. The print ads that promoted the game shortly after its release always touted the size of the game and the fact that it always sold for less than $10. Marx promoted the game with former champion Rocky Graziano
My block is knocked off!
in both its TV ads and at Toy Fair in 1970. Marx continued to promote the game across the 70s well into the 80s as Rock'em Sock'em Robots found a new audience of kids ready to rumble. In the late 80s, the game became the property of Ideal Toys, with updated robots duking it out. When Ideal sold to Tyco in 1989, the robots got another short-lived new look, followed by a licensed version of Crash Test Dummies. Over the years, many other licensed versions have popped up. When Mattel acquired Tyco in 1997, its executives wisely went back to the original look, and ever since have granted licenses that tap into the nostalgia that this classic game elicits across generations. There have been tiny versions, party versions, and even Christmas tree ornaments. In 1999, Toy Story's blockbuster sequel, Toy Story 2, featured Red Rocker and Blue Bomber, not surprisingly, getting into a fight. Today, you can buy a Blue Bomber or Red Rocker as Funko figures or keychains. And of course, Mattel even has a retro game for sale with artwork modeled after the classic original. New games come along every year trying to dethrone Rock'em Sock'em Robots from store shelves, but everyone's favorite boxing robots just keep on battling. Special thanks to Bruce Buffer for bringing my favorite boyhood bots to life. And of course, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to this channel, liking this video, and hitting that notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to tell your friends about
Seize the Plays YouTube series. Where's the fun from?